SCP-105 is a female human of European descent who was known as Iris Thompson prior to her containment and reclassification. Records indicate that Iris was a teenager at the time of her acquisition by the SCP Foundation and appears physically unremarkable, standing 1.54 meters tall and 50 kilograms in weight, with blonde hair and blue eyes. She has no outwardly visible anomalous traits at all and appears to be in good health. The second component of the SCP-105 anomaly is SCP-105-B. 105-B is a Polaroid one-step express camera, manufactured in 1982. Much like Iris herself, the camera appears at first glance to be completely normal, also with no obvious anomalous characteristics. It's not until Iris, and only Iris, engages with the camera that both of their anomalous effects are finally revealed. When Iris holds a photo taken by the anomalous Polaroid camera, the photo ceases to be a still image, and instead becomes a moving, real-time image of the photo's subject. It doesn't matter whether this is a location or a person, it will appear as if it is an extremely high-definition video feed. Tests have shown that the camera and its photos have no anomalous qualities when taken or handled by anyone other than Iris, making her an essential part of the process, but that's far from the full extent of the anomalous activity. Iris is also capable of reaching into the photographs and manipulating the scene. For example, she can reach through a photo, grab an object from the location, and actually pull it out of the picture. During Foundation testing, people in the photographed locations reported seeing a disembodied arm appear through an invisible portal and start manipulating the location around them, before disappearing. Iris is able to perform some manipulation of locations through photos taken by other cameras too, but the effects aren't nearly as strong as the ones on photos taken with SCP-105. And it is believed that this specific Polaroid camera was crucial in Iris developing and refining her anomalous skills. SCP-105's acquisition by the SCP Foundation began with the murder of Iris's then-boyfriend. Iris herself reported the murder in a state of distress. She claimed that she'd been on the phone with him at the time of his death, hence why she was so quick to rush to the scene. However, upon investigating the records on Iris's phone, the police found that this wasn't true. As a result, Iris became the prime suspect in her boyfriend's murder. When she took the stand in court to plead her innocence, Iris claimed that she was actually aware of her boyfriend's murder because she'd been watching him through a photograph she'd taken of him a few days before. She even offered to demonstrate her ability to the court. This wasn't enough to secure her innocence, but she was declared mentally ill and interned at a local psychiatric facility as a result. By this point, the Foundation had already taken an interest in her case and were making the arrangements to take custody. 105-B was extracted from Iris's home and replaced with an exact copy, as Iris herself was transferred from the psychiatric facility to Foundation Containment Site 17, as is typical of low-risk humanoids, and her parents were told that she was killed by another patient at the facility during a botched escape attempt. In an interview with a Foundation research doctor that occurred not long after Iris arrived at Site 17, she was asked how she was feeling about the new conditions. To her, it wasn't all that different from the asylum. The doctor then pressed Iris on how she first discovered her anomalous powers. Iris replied that she discovered them accidentally after she knocked a rock over the edge in a family photo of the Grand Canyon. After that, she became fascinated by photography and was eventually gifted SCP-105-B by her parents. It was at that point that her skills escalated, until they reached the level they're at today. The doctor ended the interview by making Iris an offer. She would be allowed a longer leash by the Foundation, with limited freedoms, if she was willing to use her powers to do them a few favors. This sparked the beginning of SCP-105's involvement with Mobile Task Force Omega-7, under an initiative known as Pandora's Box. Pandora's Box was a risky experiment, with the goal to recruit captured anomalies to assist the Foundation cause. An infamous prior example had been Team Able, a strike team led by SCP-076-2, an anomalous immortal warrior, also known as Able. Of course, anyone familiar with those files is well aware that Team Able had ended in disaster. Once the Foundation had run out of missions to satisfy the warrior's bloodlust, he turned on his own team out of sheer boredom. Team Iris, however, would be different. Unlike Team Able, which was a combat-focused group based around Able's exceptional fighting abilities, Team Iris would have more of a focus on reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. This new team carried out 20 of these missions in collaboration with a Foundation subgroup known as the Bowie Commission. All records indicate that the first several missions were performed quickly and efficiently. Things didn't go without incident for long, though. After Iris had shown promise in her spying abilities, the Bowie Commission was eager to escalate the missions to include wet work, a code phrase for covert assassinations. In simple terms, they wanted Iris to help murder people the Foundation wanted dead. But Iris violently resisted all attempts to use her powers for assassinations, despite repeated encouragement from members of the Bowie Commission. After continued pressure from the Foundation and the Bowie Commission, Iris entered a state of severe emotional distress that she claimed had neutralized her anomalous powers. Iris was no longer able to operate her abilities, thus would be unable to participate in the assassination missions. One of Iris's doctors performed a full study on her to test the veracity of these claims, and then wrote a report confirming Iris's assertions. He recommended that her classification be amended to neutralized, that she be given amnestics, and sent home to live her life as a normal person. But there were some in the Foundation with a feeling that something wasn't right. They conducted their own independent observations and found out that the doctor had lied to them. They also discovered that he had actually been encouraging Iris to pretend she didn't have any anomalous powers anymore, as part of a plot to obtain her freedom. It seemed that she and the doctor had formed a friendship during her containment, leading him to favor her emotional well-being over Foundation priorities. The doctor's recommendation to release Iris was subsequently denied. The doctor's bias towards her was made even more clear when he actually aided her in an attempted containment breach, which has been classified as Incident X-45 Site-17. Unfortunately for Iris, the escape failed. She was recaptured, contained, and the doctor who had been assisting her was discharged from service for unprofessional conduct. After being captured, Iris once again demonstrated that she had anomalous abilities, in exchange for regaining some of the limited privileges she had under the Pandora's Box initiative. The Pandora's Box project was to be short-lived, though. After Iris's complications and the absolute disaster with Abel, the Foundation and the Bowie Commission brought the entire program to an end. All the teams under Mobile Task Force Omega-7, including Team Iris, were disbanded, and Iris herself was returned to Site-17. Since the shelving of the Pandora's Box initiative, there have been rumors of another similar project created by the Foundation, and some have even speculated that Iris is a member of this new task force, Mobile Task Force Alpha-9, also known as Last Hope. This task force appears to be a spiritual successor to Omega-7, with the stated purpose of training humanoid anomalies for use in covert Foundation missions. Given Iris is experienced in this area, it's very likely that she's taking part. However, due to the secrecy of the project, specific information is both scarce and highly classified. SCP-105 has the rare classification of safe, meaning she poses little to no risk of a containment breach. Separated from SCP-105-B or any printed photos, Iris has no ability to put her anomalous activities into practice. And as a result, she's essentially a normal teenage girl with average intelligence. Just one that must live in SCP Foundation containment for the foreseeable future. To ensure her continued containment, Iris has been implanted with a tracking device and secured at Site-17. Unlike most anomalies, she has been allowed Class 3 restricted socialization privileges with approved site personnel, though this meager reward hinges on her continued good behavior and cooperation with Foundation directives. The anomalous camera, SCP-105-B, is kept in Site-19's high-value item storage facility, and it is shielded by a variety of advanced defense systems to prevent it from being stolen. Because of the security risk that would come from it, and due to the lack of any current usefulness to the Foundation, Iris is no longer allowed to access SCP-105-B, nor any other kind of camera or photograph, without the approval of the current managing researcher. Oftentimes, the anomalies the SCP Foundation contains are dangerous objects or malicious entities. When the anomaly is a young woman who's unwilling to harm anyone, even when refusal means giving up her own freedom, it becomes a much more complicated question of who the real danger is here.